The girls in Colombia, besides being very beautiful and intelligent, have a hidden side that not everyone knows. Many people who have visited the country have experienced all sorts of things because they often exhibit strange behaviors with foreigners. The situation worsens if we venture into the most dangerous places in the country because, in addition to crime, there's another dark side widespread disproportionately and seemingly with no way out. But instead of listing specific data, I prefer to welcome you to Colombia, home of the world's craziest girls. When we talk about Colombia, most people think of the Narcos series, the sun and the landscapes. But there's something that attracts thousands of tourists from around the world to visit the country. Tourism is very popular, and despite many being afraid to visit certain areas, there are those who take the risk by entering off-limit zones. In Colombia, living costs are much lower compared to the average income in other countries like the United States or Europe. The average cost of accommodation in Colombia ranges from $16 per night for a hostel to $30 per night for a 3-star hotel. Using public transportation in Colombia cost about 61 cents, while the price of a taxi can vary, but usually starts around 5,000 pesos, which is roughly $1. With around $300, you could comfortably afford a budget stay for 7 days in Colombia. In places like Medellín, many people live on a monthly salary of $250, and the high unemployment rate leads many to engage in illegal jobs. Colombia has always been rich in natural resources, and the vast lands once used for legal crops have been repurposed for unauthorized plantations. Despite Medellín holding the title of the world's most dangerous city in the past, it has undergone significant changes in recent years. Although the streets are filled with references to the biggest drug trafficker in history, such as murals, houses, and guided tours, locals want to leave the past behind. Colombians are known for their big hearts, strong work ethic, and determination. They are sociable and friendly, and most tourists leave satisfied. Thanks to its temperate climate, Medellín is known as the City of Eternal Spring, not to mention the authentic places to eat and trendy spots. This moderate climate allows people to be active both at work and during leisure time. On weekends, the city becomes more relaxed, and many trendy nightclubs attract young people. That's why many tourists choose Colombia for its nightlife, which is often similar to that of Thailand or Brazil. The government's goal is to maintain a civilized, modern, and safe country, and that's exactly what has been achieved in the last 30 years. After the defeat of the Medellín cartel, Colombia has made great strides in eradicating trafficking. If Operation Cacique, conducted by the Colombian police, had not succeeded, the country would probably still be in a dire situation today. Despite these efforts, the country still faces many problems, and one of the biggest enemies is prostitution. Prostitution is rampant in the country, mainly because it is legal. Despite this, the government is trying to combat, albeit with limited success, this type of activity, mainly due to the age of the girls and the provocative clothing found on the streets, and to change the perspective of tourism, as it is often labeled as sexual tourism. Despite many people visiting the country for other reasons, the government knows that behaviors that happen in the country, even during the day, are a problem. But the enemy is too big. And this contributes to overlooking the beautiful part of the country and its positive aspects. The most popular city for these things is Medellín. Real money is made when it's dark. In fact, it's always good not to walk in certain areas at night. In addition to the sale of substances in alleys and in front of nightclubs, the squares are filled with girls. Going to certain places, in addition to questionable smells, wrongdoers can target tourists. That's why it's good not to carry a lot of money in your wallet or maintain proper etiquette, because danger is always around the corner. The police, due to the very high number of illicit activities and areas dedicated to these activities, can do very little. Policemen are still human beings, and dealing with certain people or entering certain situations can be very unpleasant, even for them. That's not the only problem. When walking the streets of Bogotá or Medellín at night, everything transforms, and the number of girls on the streets surpasses that of men. We all wonder how such disorganization is possible, and why the government seems powerless. Another triggering factor comes into play: the culture of the population itself. Often, while walking down the street and encountering tourists, the locals try to sell you anything. Many restaurants stop tourists to persuade them to come in, and if you say no, they might talk about their friends. Yes, because they earn a percentage. People usually try to make you feel comfortable. They are very open and helpful, and above all, they are very respectful towards each other. They take everything with a lot of calm and cheerfulness and are easily carried away by their feelings. However, their idea is often that when they see a tourist, it's normal for them to pay. Many girls still try to find a way to profit even if they find you attractive. Usually the girls position themselves on slightly more secluded streets, but also in front of clubs and discos. The girls live in these places, staying in very small rooms, generally in pairs, sometimes in threes, sometimes in fours or even in fives, without TV, without bathrooms, without furniture, without windows. They work from 7 p.m. until 4 in the morning. And even if the place is empty, they have to stay seated at the tables. For some of them, work doesn't stop even during the day. Playa Hollywood is one of the most popular beaches for this kind of thing. So as soon as you enter, it's very likely that someone will approach you to ask what you're looking for. And if you answer girls, a world opens up. The person who stopped you will take you on a tour of the deck chairs and introduce you to every kind of girl possible. Many of them, however, have a very specific purpose. Of course, the cities are full of clubs more or less disguised as hotels, where for a small fee, about $2, you can go with girls who are often not even of age. And even when you meet a Colombian girl who seems honest, it could be a tactic to ask you for money during the evening. It is clear that they are not all like that, although Colombian girls often have a difficult character. The fact is that most of them, besides being beautiful, are very intelligent, with a sense of humor, hard-working and independent. The problem is that the Colombian woman, in general, is extremely jealous, but also paranoid. They live their relationships with extreme passion, even going as far as stalking to exasperated levels. They are capable of hiring an investigator to find out news about their beloved and persecute him with messages, calls and scenes, without any scruples. They fall madly in love even after just one kiss, but woe betide them. They become nasty and vindictive. Loved or hated, they know no half measures, which is why in Bogotá 80% of them are single mothers who take care of the whole family, often with several children. Many work for a starvation minimum wage, but people even having nothing are happy. People who, even without work, with a modest house and little food, live happily. That is why the culture has often become so ingrained in the country that working girls have become a normality. Although Colombia has said yes to various global agreements to protect the rights of people who move from one place to another, it seems that its decisions are more about protecting its country and its money than making sure that people are treated with dignity and respect. In Colombia, many people are forced to leave their homes because of internal conflicts, and the country is also facing great pressure due to the arrival of many people from Venezuela who are looking for a better place to live. Today, it is estimated that the majority of Venezuelan migrants in Colombia are women. For them, known as a symbol of beauty, there are additional dangers and pitfalls. In the Latin American region, many people think that Venezuelan women are often sexualized and that this is the beauty to follow. But when these women leave Venezuela, they often find themselves in difficult and vulnerable situations. In fact, this traffic has exploded in recent years. Even en route, they are not at all safe because they cross narrow passages between the jungle and the Táchira River, which allow hundreds of people to cross illegally from one side of the border to the other on a daily basis. In these adventures through forests and water, there are people called trocheros who help the migrants. They are people who know the area well and have the approval of criminal groups that run these trafficking operations. If someone wants to go from Venezuela to Colombia, or vice versa, they have to make deals with groups called colectivos in the Venezuelan city of San Antonio del Táchira. Despite the honesty of many people, policemen and citizens, migration of this kind makes us realize that there is little hope of changing the situation in Colombia. There are also many other positive aspects. If you're considering visiting only one city during your trip to Colombia, make it Medellín. There is truly no comparable city, not just within the country but on a global scale. Medellín's journey from being the troubled center of a narcotics empire to a modern, forward-thinking metropolis is truly extraordinary. However, the city offers much more than just a transformed image and an enhanced sense of safety. Despite being significantly smaller than Bogotá, Medellín surpasses expectations. It boasts a friendlier and more enjoyable atmosphere than the capital and is also much more navigable. Lucky for you, Medellín is inhabited by the most sociable and friendly people in Colombia, known as Paisas. They warmly embrace visitors and take great pride in their city, wanting to ensure that every traveler shares the same affection for it. As a result, you'll likely forge numerous new friendships in a short span. On the flip side, in Bogotá, everyone seems to be in a constant hurry and too occupied to spare even a moment for you. Instead of being stuck in traffic in Bogotá, wearing a heavy snow jacket for hours, you could be having a great time experiencing the fantastic food, lively nightlife, and modern vibe of Colombia's most fun city. Bogotá may not have the warm weather of Medellín, but it's a unique city in Colombia that captures a lot of the country's character, natural beauty, and history in a small area. If you enjoy outdoor activities, Bogotá is a great place to visit. You can start your day by hiking along one of the trails in the eastern hills, and then explore the historic center. But Bogotá's historic area is not just about looking at the past. Some of the old buildings now have cool coffee shops, hostels. In short, whether it is Bogotá or Medellín, Colombia is a wonderful country, full of adventures, different from the usual, that will leave an indelible mark on you, both for its positive and negative sides. But it is definitely one of the most beautiful countries in the world.